chance to hear Y.E.S project. This project is a mentoring organization. We mentor incarcerated and at-risk youth. Our at-risk youth are those that are really troubled youth that are involved in criminal activity. I'd like to thank you for joining us with this particular show. I'm going to cover sensitive subject this week. The subject is sex. This is something that I believe that the church doesn't address as much, and we definitely need to be much more aware of what's going on with our children and with the youth. And when I say youth, we deal with not just young people and teens, we deal with young adults as well, because I believe that you're pretty much young up into your early 20s. You're pretty much still experiencing a lot of things. And the topic we're talking about here pretty much is a sensitive topic. So if you do have some kids that you don't want to hear certain things, I will be addressing some things in this particular broadcast that you may not want your child to hear, but I will tell you and be frank with you, there's nothing that your child is not being exposed to. And you're pretty much ignorant if you believe that they're not, because even when you're not around or they're in school, they're exposed to everything. So back to the topic at hand, it's sex and how sex is dealt with in relationship to the body of Christ and those that believe in God, and how you should begin to deal with your child. But I'm going to kind of bring this down on a little bit more personal level, and I'm going to start within the household. We have different variety of households, different people that do different things in their household. They have different types of relationships. Some have a father and a mother, children. Some have grandparents. Some are in foster care. There's all different types of situations that that young people can find themselves being raised up in. But sex becomes an issue no matter what. It's a very real issue. And I'm going to pinpoint some of the things that I think that I need to address that will make somewhat of an impact on the audience listening. The first thing that I want to address when it comes to sex is the act in itself. We think sex to be a pleasurable thing, and of course it is to some degree. Well, actually more to some degree, it's pleasurable for the most part, because it's a physical act. And in this physical act, there's numerous things that are dealt with. And when I say personal, that's what I'm going to get into, some of the personal things that are involved with. One of the things that I want you to take into account when it comes to dealing with these things and dealing with young people in relationship to it is you need to be honest. You need to express your feelings about sex to the youth that you're dealing with, teenager, and not only that, up into the older age. The older man needs to instruct the younger man on sex, as well as the older women need to instruct the younger women. The Bible kind of makes that clear to us, that older women are to instruct the younger women. But we're living in a different age and time now where sex is it's more open, it's free, and it's not something that is even frowned upon in any form or fashion, in any way, for the most part. And that goes for hetero and non-hetero. It goes for all sex partners. That goes for husband, wives, male, female, male to females, female to males. We getting into all types of things. It goes male, male, female, female, male, 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 female, female, which we get into, multiple partners, group sex. All these things are issues that are coming into play, and they're going to increase as time goes on. This is not something that's going to go away. And it hasn't went away. I remember when I was young, we got to see somebody, a woman, for instance, because I'm a male, and that was what I was attracted to, a woman. If I see a woman in her panties back in the day, we was excited about that. But now, sex is completely nude to the exposure of everyone, adults and children alike. Now, we still have R movies and all that different thing, but an R movie today is like a XXX movie back, 20-so years ago. PG movies like an R-rated movie these days. So, I mean, and the world is going to continue to do that. It's going to continue to go into that aspect to where there won't be any any discrimination in exposing the body. We're already coming to that right now. So it's important that you begin to teach the youth that you're involved with and the older people what you've experienced and what's going on in relationship to your knowledge of sex. But getting back to the real personal issue here, not only are we going sex, I don't think we understand sex. I don't think we really understand sex. We're all caught up in the emotion of it, and especially young people and older people as well, for the most part. We don't understand what really ticks and what's really going on. And that's because it wasn't meant and it wasn't designed that way for us originally. God didn't design it. God didn't design sex to be abused and misused like men and women have decided to do that, to misuse it. He designed it to populate the world, and of course we're busy populating. Everybody's populating. They populating some that don't want to populate, but we're busy doing that. The thing is that it was designed for that purpose, and God designed it for that purpose, but He gave it a lot of pleasure. And the pleasure is the part that we take more into account than we do the purpose of it. It's for production. It's for reproduction. It's for those that want to make a commitment to one another on a serious level. That's where marriage comes in. But that's no longer a thing. We don't consider marriage no more. The new thing for the young people is they call. The male call they woman, they wifey, and don't have to have any legal obligation. The young people going around considering themselves single. I'm single, and they ain't never been married, but they consider themselves single if they don't have a boyfriend. Or the same thing for a male if he doesn't have a girlfriend. He's like, oh well, I'm single. And in the older generation, if someone says they're single, you say, well, I guess so you're not married. That's not the phrase that they're using. The phrase they're using single as is the fact that they don't have someone that they're involved with sexually. They have a partner. So we're at a different age, and we all know this is not something strange. But the thing is, we have to address this issue a little bit stronger. We need to bring it out within those that are more knowledgeable in the spirit aspect of it. And I don't know if I have enough time to really get into the spirit aspect. I might have to make this particular broadcast more than one part, like one part, two part, three part broadcast. I don't know. But in this particular issue, on the foundation of this, I want to address the body, okay? And I want to address it in relationship to its truest format. This may be a little strange to you, but be patient with me, and I'll try to clarify it to the best of my knowledge. The body, in the sense of sex and sexual organs and that nature, the whole body is an organ. The whole entire body is a sex organ. We don't see it that way because we only think of the general areas. We think of the penis and the vagina, and and the butt and breasts. Things I tell you, we get a little bit forward here, and we don't think that that's something that we think that's the real sex part of it. We may think of kissing, we may think of the lips and eyes and things, but God designed the whole body as a sex organ. It's all part of it. There's no part of the body that's not really considered part of the sex organ. And when you talk about a male, you generally think of the one sex organ. When females think of a man, they pretty much think of the one sex organ, the penis. And when a man thinks of a female, he generally thinks of two parts. And I mean, we can broaden it out, and that's the vagina and breast. And of course, buttocks is behind. Butt is one of the things that is real popular these days. But we have gotten into a stage to where we think those are the essential parts of sex, and they're not. They're not the essential parts. Those are most of those are the reproductional parts of sex. But if you understand it clearly, and I'm going to speak on this because I want younger people that may view this to understand something here. When you really, really are involved in love, and you're really, really involved in love making, and you're not just involved with using the reproduction parts or lust, then your every touch becomes sexual. Every caress, every inch of your body you understand it to be a complete organ, and you no longer, and that's the only way. And the reason why I'm addressing this in this way, and this goes for both male and females, because the only way you're going to get out of the lust aspect of life, the getting into just lusting and wanting to have sex and just wanting to get involved in that area, is you got to understand it. You got to get a little more clarity in relationship to what sex is. And the body, and if you understand the body in its entirety, and you see it as it really stands, you won't be as lustful, and you'll be able to find a partner, and you'll be able to be a little bit more selective in relationship to that. And that means you have to take not just the sexual organs in consideration, you got to take the entire body in consideration. And people do when they really find a person that they really want to be with and be committed to. And once they do that, then they can come into, they get it, they receive it, but they don't understand it. You meet that person that you really want to be with, but you don't really understand it. You don't have clarity on it. And that's basically the entire world for the most part. And one of the foundations of that is understanding that the whole body is a sex organ, and knowing how to address the whole body. Now, this ain't a sex lesson, so I'm not going to get into the details of any of it. I just want you to understand that at some point in your life, you've got to realize that the whole body is a sex organ. And once you come in contact with that person to where their whole body is connected to your body, then you'll have that complete. And you'll have it with what some people like to call soulmate and things of that nature. I mean, I don't believe in soulmates per se, not in that frame. There is a different way to illustrate that. I mean, this topic is not on that. But once you're able to get with an individual and you see an individual and you're able to see them in their entirety and see their body as a whole, then you're able to build a sincere relationship in relationship to sex. And guess what? What happens is you want that person everything. You want everything about them. You want their whole being. And that's why God created it in such a way and wanted the individuals to bind and become one. And that's what the Bible says. Once you marry, so you become one. But once you have sex, you become one. Because you come together. But that's something that I want to probably go into the next subject about, but I do want to touch on it just briefly. Because of the sex itself and not taking the organ very serious. Now, there's a time to take it extremely serious, and that's when the motion is in motion. Then it's time to take it serious. But you still have to know that you're dealing with the whole being. You have to realize you're dealing with the whole person. And I'm not just talking about their mind. I'm talking about the physical part of the whole person. You have to unite physically with that person, the whole part of that person. And then you are able to know that this is the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. But what happens is this: we get hung up on organs. We get hung up on physical things. And we do the same thing in the flesh. Just like you get hung up on the type of car you want, you get hung up on the physical things. And truthfully, a car, in its entirety, if you can get in a vehicle and it can take you from A to B, that's transportation. You're still going to get there. I mean, if everything is working in order, it's going to get you from A to B and you still get there. It's the same thing with a person. Most people, you can go with a person, you can get with a person, and it'll take you from A to B and you'll get there. You'll still get where you want to get for the most part. Now, I'm not talking about orgasms and things like that. I'm talking about just the act of sex in itself. It may not be pleasurable, it may be pleasurable, but it's still an act. It's just a physical act. This truest aspect of sex that goes beyond, and it goes so far beyond the actual physical act of sex, is the spiritual repercussions of sex. And we don't really know those spiritual repercussions, and we really don't really care because we be so caught up in the moment to enjoy ourselves. And it's really enjoyable that we're looking to do. We're looking for pleasure. It's not a pleasure that's going to last. It's a temporary pleasure, but we still look for it. We still strive on it. And that's both male and female. Everybody wants that pleasure. And it's building up in a society now to where it's more popular to pleasure yourself than it is to have a genuine relationship. And that's what we're getting. And the youth have taken that to the max. And the reason why it's taken to the max is because a lot of the older generation has laid that foundation. So we have that. And have more lust and more focus on organs and things of that nature than we do on a truest relationship. I want to key into this thing about the spirit, and I'm not going to probably take a lot more time with this particular broadcast, but because the body is an uncontrollable instrument, and it really is an uncontrollable instrument, it takes training to learn to help your body, and you don't really have to get old to do it, but I'll tell you, it starts kicking in anyway when you get older, because as you get older, your drive is probably not as strong. As for some people, for me, my drive is as strong as I was when I was a young man. And I don't say that lightly. I say that because it's all about how you treat yourself. If you treat yourself good, you take care of yourself, you take care of your body's going to stay healthy. But most people don't do that. Most people abuse their body and misuse their body. And the results of that is going to be downward. You're going to have a down spiral as you go, especially as you get older, because the body starts to deteriorate anyway as you get older. Just out of average aging. You just age, you just get older. But listen, sex wasn't designed for it to diminish as you get older. It diminishes because you don't take care of yourself and you abuse yourself. That's why it diminishes. It wasn't designed to diminish as you get older, and it hasn't diminished in me at all. In fact, I'm probably more sexually active now than I was when I was younger. That's probably because I had a whole lot more discipline when I was younger than most people. And when I say that, I don't say that kind of because most people thought I was what they call a Don Juan, we used to call him, or a player, as they call him more recently now. And I did have quite a few women that I dealt with before I decided to get married and settle down. And I married young. But I got in the Lord early. But before any of that, I was very picky. And I wasn't one to throw myself to anyone very easily. Today, we don't have that kind of discipline with young people or even older people. We throw ourselves very easily sexually with a person. I can't say I'm perfect in no form or fashion. I haven't had my share of sex with people. The thing is I'm always be straight up and honest, but nowhere far compared to most people. Most people are getting as much as they can get, and far beyond their needs. It's getting into straight, over and beyond sex. We're going into a stage of whoredness. The whole world, we're going into that stage. And pervertness, but the perverting aspect of things comes into play because we tend to not have any limitations on stuff. So people are wanting more than one partner easily. And we can say, people can say, and then I'm going to close this out. People can say that this is, the reason why sex is so carried away is because, but women are real loose and sex is promoted so strongly and things of that nature. But what's that got to do with those that's gay people are? Women ain't. There's not a lot of promotion about gay, but the world has been overtaken with the aspect of same sex. We've got more same sex relationships as much or if not more, same-sex relationships as we do opposite sex. So it's really not about the promotion of a girl wearing skinny things and things of that nature. It's really a spirit, and this is where I'm going to close, because I'm going to try to pick this up. Next thing is the spirit in sex, but it's really the spirit. It's really the intensity of the inner being, the inner person in you that is being manipulated and controlled, and it's being controlled by the unseen spirits of the world. We can't see these spirits, so I'm talking things here that are kind of like over the head of some people. Some people may understand it, but the world is really not physical. The world is spiritual. I mean, we are physical, of course, but the world is not physical. The world has a lot of physical attributes to it. But anything that you decide to have in this world, or create in this world, or make happen in this world, you don't make it by the physical. You make it because you put a vision together, and you put a dream together, and you started moving forward on that and making it physical, because it has to be a vision before it becomes something, an actual manifestation. So, and it's the same thing with sex. We just don't see it that way. That's why we have a hard time finding the right person, because we're so busy dealing with the physical and we don't deal with the spiritual. And I'm going to deal with that next week. Our next section, we're going to talk about the spirit in sex. But I hope I was able to help you get a little clarity. One of the main points that I want you to remember is not to focus on the organs, the sexual organs. That's not the real issue when it comes to finding a person or being with a real person that you want to be genuinely committed to. You have to be with that person for the whole sex organ, the body as an organ, the whole body as a sex organ. It can keep you from being confused. It can keep you from being confused about the type of person it is. It can keep you from being confused about a lot of things in relationship to their mind, their understanding, because part of the physical makeup, believe it or not, came from the spirit makeup of an individual. See, before the individual was even created, and then I'm going to definitely close it, before a person is even created, it takes two beings, a male and a female, a sperm and an egg. And the sperm is the seed generated, and in that seed is generations of the person producing that seed. There's spiritual generations within that person. Once that sperm comes out, that generation of that spirit of that individual is created. You're creating something. A male creates it. That's why he plays such a central role in dominance. But he creates it, and once he creates that seed, and that seed goes in and it takes egg form, because it comes with that egg, then that egg, they join together, and what happens is there's a physical reaction. We all know that. We can see that. But what you don't see is the spiritual. You don't see the spirit behind what's tied into the individual that's producing that seed, and what's tied into the individual that houses the egg. And those two spirits come together and they link, and then you have a person that is produced, a physical person. But that person was already, in a spiritual sense, already starting to be created. And then there's